Galveston Island and its population have been pioneers in embracing progress and innovation. In this video, we'll delve into 3 remarkable milestones that set Galveston apart as a trailblazer in the Lone Star State. The early adoption of telephones, electrifying the island, and public transit through streetcars, instilling Galveston's unique place in Texas history. Welcome to Galveston Unscripted. Thank you to our video sponsor, The Daily News, bringing you the news since 1842. Support your local newspaper, The Daily News. I'm standing here between 25th and 26th Street and Avenue K, where a man named Colonel A.H. Bello lived. Colonel A.H. Bello was the publisher of the Galveston News and wanted a way to contact his office downtown. Colonel Bello, as the Galveston News publisher, attended the Philadelphia Centennial Exposition, where he met a man named Alexander Graham Bell, one of the men credited for inventing the telephone. Colonel Bello was determined to have this new telephone technology after he saw Alexander Graham Bell's exhibition, and he swiftly got a telephone for himself and the office of the Galveston News. I am here at 22nd and Market Street. In 1878, the first telephone line in Texas was run from Colonel Bello's home on 25th and K right over here to where the Galveston News offices once sat. These were 2 of the first 1,000 telephones ever. This was a big deal. By the next year, in 1879, an entire telephone relay building was built to support the growing amount of telephones on the island, changing the game for communication forever. Of course, there were telegraphs decades prior to telephones, but being able to pick up the phone and communicate directly with whoever you wanted to speak to completely changed the world. And Galveston became one of the first places in Texas to adopt this new technology. And you have to think about how much we use telephones today. You're probably watching this video on a phone right now. In the late 1870s, a man named Thomas Edison invented a light bulb, and by 1882, pioneered the first power plant to light up New York City. By 1883, Galvestonians knew they had to have this technology, as Galveston was one of the richest cities in the United States per capita and growing very quickly. The city of Galveston became the first city in Texas and one of the first in the United States to adopt new electric lights. And throughout the 1880s, power lines began to be set up all over the city, lighting up the island, making Galveston one of the earliest adopters of electricity and electric lighting. We have to think how significant this was, lighting up the island. Even by 1925, over 40 years after Galveston got electricity, only half of the US population had access to electricity. Now let's talk a little bit about public transportation. Now, depending on where you live in the United States today, you may have more or less access to public transit, like buses and subways. But Galveston, being a city of first, had one of the first public transportation services in the state of Texas. Streetcars, which we refer to as trolleys today. Beginning right after the Civil War, a streetcar system was developed in Galveston. The first trolleys or streetcars were actually pulled by mules or horses along a track system stretching all over the island. After electricity was readily available in Galveston, the streetcars began to run on electricity. One very interesting thing about Galveston streetcars is that one of the tracks was actually built out over the water here at 25th Street, stretching down to about 23rd Street. That's right, they built a streetcar trestle over the water on the beach, which was completely destroyed during the 1900 storm. Now, in the recovery of the 1900 storm, the streetcars returned to be powered by mules and horses again for a short period until electricity was restored and the tracks were clear. And throughout the 20th century, the streetcar system in Galveston was extremely robust. You could get pretty much anywhere you wanted to go on the east end of the island. Now, of course, we still have streetcars today. They're kind of a staple here in Galveston. Galveston is home to literally dozens of Texas firsts. But these 3 topics, telephones, electricity, and streetcars, helped make Galveston a premier city on the Gulf Coast in the late 19th 19th century. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and check us out on social media. We are everywhere. And if you haven't yet, go check out the podcast. We've got hours and hours of historical content on that podcast feed. You will not be disappointed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Galveston Unscripted.